scaling your brands or your clients? Are you unsure about your ability to test accurately or project manage large pieces of work in a way that doesn't cost you more and more time, where you're getting more and more stressed, making less and less money while you're doing it? If this is you, I get it. First off, this is specifically me trying to help you out. I've worked with folks in your shoes for years, and I'm here today for the first time doing this because I want to share you the entire method that I use specifically to help people get out of that struggle so they can build in systems that allow them to get more time in their day and more money in their pocket while scaling their brands or their agency clients. Because this is not just for the media buyer. This is also for the business owner and for the agency trying to maximize their profits and reduce turnover and stress while maximizing the potential of their client base so you can make more money. So we're going to talk about this in a few parts. Let me break down the system that we use and that I teach inside of the Facebook Ads MBA program. Now, number one, what we go into is a real core understanding of how the system works. We go through optimization and simplification, how the platform actually works. Now, I know intimately how it works because I'm friends with the engineers that have been developing it, and I've worked with them closely for the better part of a decade now, since the implementation of the optimized CPM environment in the Facebook Pixel. Now, I spent well over $1 million a day before the Facebook Pixel even existed. And when it came into effect and we were starting to try to plan for using it, they needed people to tell them how best to use it. I have, for years, been working with Facebook to teach Facebook how to teach agencies and advertisers the best ways of implementing their system to make money. First thing that we get in through here is we understand the optimization and the simplification. How does Facebook actually work, and how do we use that to our advantage? We also go over reporting, not the way that Facebook UI shows you, but a way that we can go through trend analysis, getting you out of the day-to-day into week over week, month over month, so you can strategize and plan for weeks or months in advance. And yes, that's 100% possible. We also go into logging our optimizations and logging our moves in a way that allows us to get better and better and better at making good decisions, because our hit rate on positive decision making gets better when we hold ourselves accountable, and we can use the scientific method to make smarter and smarter decisions and not repeat the same mistakes over and over again. In addition to that, we then dive deep into testing, how to do creative testing. Now, mind you, I literally wrote the book that Facebook uses to teach elite agencies and marketers how to do creative testing, especially inside of CBO. That has changed a little bit over the years, but we get into what we call branded estimated action rate. Remember, the way that the auction actually works is how much money you're willing to spend and what's the estimated action rate of your brand. So we need to make sure that we're getting the right creative, but not just that our ad is the best, but every part of it is actually set up to give Facebook what it wants, because the average person swipes the height of the Eiffel Tower on a daily basis. And if your content and your creative, because remember, your ads are just content in a newsfeed. If it is not set up to meet Facebook's business objectives, you're dead in the water to begin with. And then if those ads that do meet Facebook's objectives don't deliver actionable results for you, you're dead in the water to begin with. So let's at scale test all of those ideas in a way that will, all those elements in a way that will also allow us to get better and better over time and solve business problems other than just trying to get a higher ROAS, which is a bullshit number, or lower our CPA, which is what you should be doing, but really solving much bigger problems. After that, what we do is we get into what we call ecosystem ROAS. So how do we understand Facebook's place in the overall business marketplace? How do we reduce the amount of reliance that we have on Facebook by understanding what percentage it plays into the overall ecosystem? What does Facebook do for our overall business? How much a percentage of our overall revenue comes from Facebook on a daily basis? How do we make Facebook a better player in our overall business model? And understanding that is fundamental to reducing the amount of work that you're asking Facebook to do by complexity. So when you can ask it to do more work, it's done in a simple way to accomplish singular, simple goals at a high effectiveness, and basically allows you to make the platform work smarter so that you don't have to work harder, so that you can put more money into your pocket and more time into your day, which ultimately allows you to improve your business while raising the billings of your agency clients, or scale your business and pay yourself more if it's your brand. Those are the big things that we want to cover. So first thing that I want to get through today is an overview of the first step, optimization and simplification. So we go over some of the biggest mistakes that people make inside of Facebook. Now, honestly, the biggest mistake people make in optimization is thinking that you need a winning ad and then to spend all of your money against it. That is 100% the absolute worst thing that you can do. Isolating places and breaking what works prevents future success. So we get into how to give yourself a list of options that you can give Facebook, and then we get away to removing the worst elements. We make the system better by removing the weakest links, right? You've always heard the thing, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Now, if you want a good chain, you remove the worst link. You don't take the one strongest piece and ask it to do all of the work. If you have a really good employee that can make 10 things a day, and you've got a couple other ones that can do 3 or 5, you don't say, well, I need to get to 50, so I'm going to ask my one person that can do 10 things a day to 5x their output. You don't do that and then complain when it doesn't work. So we get down how to implement that as well as simplification. Let's focus together on understanding the one core best thing that you can ask this platform to do so that you can, at the most efficient way, ask it to give you the greatest amount of benefit. You can do 5 things poorly, or you can do one thing exceptionally well. And remember, it's a machine learning platform. So as you're doing that one thing exceptionally well, it's going to get better and better and better at it. So each week you do less and less overall volume of work, and you get better and better results. And that's what we're really trying to do. Utilize the machine learning and what Facebook does, being the strongest machine learning platform in the history of humanity at creating intent at scale. Let's leverage that to our advantage. So working with you on a one-on-one basis, as well as with group classes and a course and ebooks and all of this other stuff, that is what this is really about. And by the way, through this whole process, if you have questions, please let me know. And if I don't answer them during this thing, you can absolutely DM me because I want to be able to help you. And really, this is about helping you understand that this is the path that you need to be taking. Step 2 that we get into is the reporting. Now, one of the biggest mistakes people make inside of reporting is taking, first off, Facebook platform as actual real data, actual real business results. And let me tell you something. No digital marketing platform's results they give you is 100% holistic or accurate. What we do know is that it's inaccurate by roughly the same amount all of the time. So we can use it as a source of truth in relation to itself and then try to make it better and better. Also, when we're trying to organize this into what I call the Scrum Doc, which is what I teach people and I've been using personally to manage hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue, which by the way is a free Google sheet that takes you maybe 10 or 15 minutes a day to manage. When we start using that to isolate by business objective and to ultimately allow us to see what are our weaknesses, what are our assets, what do we need to exploit more, what do we need to step away from. When we can start making Facebook simple and have only 2 or 3 moving parts and then ultimately understand the contribution of every one of those parts, we can make what's stronger better and we can make what's weaker less of a part of our system or something that we absolutely invest more into improving. But there's a good bit of knowledge to be understood of what is a positive investment and what isn't. So you have to get down to that. If you're trying to solve 5 or 10 problems at once, understand you're going to do all of them poorly, and every one of those efforts is making the system dumber and dumber and dumber. The harder you work, the less success you're going to see. You need to make it simple, and you need to set the system up to succeed. And the number one way of you being able to identify what those opportunities are and how to plan for the future is to look at things by business objective and trend analysis. So we go over that as well. After that, we get into the branded estimated action rate testing. How do we actually break down every element of every ad that you're running? How do we break it down to see what is actually going to deliver Facebook's overall business objective of maintaining attention over time, while also delivering us the most desirable business impacts? So how are we getting clicks? How are we getting interest? How are we getting people that aren't bouncing? How are we getting attention? How are we making sure that we get to reach the most amount of people to specifically solve very specific business problems in a way that can ultimately be positive for us by giving us higher and higher quality traffic to our store at a greater and greater volume? Because remember, the better the quality of the traffic you get to your store, the higher volume of good people that you get. Not only does Facebook get better, but every other channel gets better. Your landing page conversion rates go up. Your email open rates go up. Your search effectiveness goes up. When you bring only high quality customers into your store, whether it's Facebook that makes that sale, the overall efficiency of every single channel improves. That is fundamental to your long-term success. So we break that down in a way that is systematized, in a way that is easily scalable, in a way that is easily manageable, in a way that you can, if you're doing it yourself or managing a 30-person team, can have full accountability and transparency so that nobody has to ask somebody else how something did. You're no longer responding to random emails left, right, and center. You're able to maximize your time and your effectiveness. That is really what we're talking about. No, Ishak, this is not pre-recorded. I'm literally doing this right now. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I'll try to get to them. And if I miss it, DM me. I'm really trying to help people see success here because this is ultimately what I do. Now, the last thing that we get into is our ecosystem ROAS, right? So our ecosystem ROAS says, all right, we've understood how to make Facebook super simple. We understand how best to set up our platform for success. We now understand what our areas of opportunity are, what our assets are, and what is ultimately most beneficial to our business from a Facebook side. And we know how to make it better and better over time to drive a higher and higher volume of better and better quality traffic to ultimately get lower and lower cost conversions while having a very stable ecosystem that requires less and less work while getting a higher and higher output over time. Now, how does this fit into our overall business? That's the other thing that we absolutely need to understand. What's our percentage of revenue that comes from Facebook? How do we make that better? How much of this do we actually need to improve? What part of the funnel maybe does Facebook need to be reliant on? How many times have we gone down the rabbit hole of trying to make Facebook better and ultimately our business gets worse and worse? I can tell you, I have optimized the shit out of Facebook campaigns to the point where the business almost went out of business. Because ultimately, you tried to focus on making Facebook vanity metrics your priority instead of having overall success be what you were looking at, but without the context of being able to understand where your success comes from and what unfair advantage to the marketplace you're able to bring by each channel and what we call contribution margin. Without being able to understand those elements, you're ultimately not going to be able to see success at scale over time. You can do it poorly, and you can do well. The problem is, if you don't focus on these things, you're ultimately going to work harder and harder to see diminishing returns, and eventually you're going to be like, well, Facebook doesn't work, and you're going to step away. Let me tell you something. Facebook absolutely works. There's a reason that trillions of dollars go into it. There's a reason that every elite brand on the planet is playing this game. There's a reason why millionaires are made on a daily basis on the back of it. There's a reason that people have been able to change their life, like me. I was at a point where I was unable to pay my bills. I was at a point where literally my parents were paying my cell phone bill and I was like 30 and I was fired from every job I ever had. I got good at this. And now 9 years later, I bought a house in Los Angeles and paid for my wedding and my honeymoon in cash. Just a little bit of a thing. I'm not going to try to flex some Ty Lopez nonsense. I'm just telling you, I've been able to change the lives of dozens and dozens of people. And I've helped hundreds of individuals get more freedom. And ultimately, that's what you can have as well. Now, that's my word for it. And you don't necessarily need to really understand this. But let me talk to you about the transformation. Because this does work. And I've been doing it for years. And honestly, when you go down these paths, success isn't a matter of time. Is only a matter of time. It's very rarely ever a question of is it going to happen? It's a given. It's just what's the timeline to implementation? And that honestly is different for everybody. Some people see it in weeks. Some people see it in months. The bottom line is, if you start today, 90 days from now, your life is fundamentally different. 6 months from now, you're no longer solving these same problems over and over and over again. You're getting to a place where you are solving much better problems. Like instead of trying to see, well, can I keep my Facebook ads live? You're saying, can I get more product? Can I get better employees? Can I manage other platforms? Who's the right person to go to for this? Because I've already got email and Facebook and Google and customer service and product delivery figured out. So now you're sitting there like, instead of trying to make $500 or $2,000 a day work, you're spending $5,000 a day just on Facebook and then trying to solve other big problems. That's where I want you to get to. And it can 100% happen. Now I've posted testimonials from people and I don't want to, necessarily call out names or whatever else, but I will say a couple folks that I do want to call out. Number one, Dennis Yu loves what I'm doing, and I'm very happy for us to be working together. But I've seen students of mine be extraordinarily successful. For instance, this man who just went through my program, his name is Emmanuel. He's got a big agency, right? He's got 10, 15 people in there and a whole creative team. They've been able to triple their output on creative while also doubling the amount of success that they're seeing from that, while cutting their workload nearly in half, because they're no longer having to respond back to emails. There's far less meetings. And the people that are making the creative are getting a lot better at it because they're able to see what works and what doesn't. They're solving very specific problems when they're getting into creative testing. And as a result, he's been able to scale the business of a lot of his clients. Because when you get better, you can scale the business of your clients. When you scale the business of your clients, you don't need more clients to make money because you're making more and more money off the clients you have. And that doesn't mean you have to spend more time on things. Actually, the bigger the clients get, the more money you make, the less work it actually takes. Because successful businesses need less micromanagement. And the less you micromanage things, the more success you're going to have. Now, it also reminds me of several other students that have gone through the MBA program. Like my man Daniel, when he joined, he was doing about $500 a day on a drop shipping store. Now, 9-10 weeks later, he's spending a couple $1,000s a day. And instead of having a drop shipping store, we've been able to address business models. We've been able to address growth. So now he's at the point of, how do I build an entire brand out of this by doing multiple businesses, multiple products, and getting the LTV together and getting the AOV of your customer up, and ultimately building out what we call brand building, which can 100% be what we are talking about here. When you get into building brands, instead of trying to get lucky day to day, you're having conversations about thousands of dollars instead of many hours a day on hundreds of dollars. It's about the size of the problem that you try to solve. And that is a very big thing. And one of the big pieces that happened for Daniel, as well as his friend Ian, who I also worked with, is they were thinking that Facebook and Instagram were different platforms and that they need to treat these people differently. The honest truth is there is no difference. And the people that tell you that there is no difference don't understand what they're talking about. And I get it. At a very small scale, you can treat every one of these things with a super high volume of work. The problem is, if you are getting $500 a day spent and you want to get to $5,000, it's not going to happen because you work 10 times harder. It's going to be because you work 10 times smarter, and it's actually going to require less and less work. The more success you have in this infrastructure, the less and less time it takes to manage this infrastructure, the more and more money you make. Ultimately, success happens at scale, not because of workload, but because of systems, and because of confidence, and because of being able to repeat wins and have a high confidence in predicting the outcome of your tests. When you can get your system down to 2 or 3 moving parts that you are systematizing the testing and evaluation of, then it's about business model. It's about stuff that happens after the click. You are starting to build brands and taking yourself from a couple thousand a day to $5,000 or $10,000 a day. You're getting yourself into the 6-figure monthly ad budget. You're getting to, I've legitimately taken brands to 7-figure monthly ad budgets doing this exact stuff. And that's where I learned a lot of these things, because I've made quite literally 50 or $100 million of mistakes on Facebook. And I've worked for businesses that were spending $200 a day to businesses that were spending $1 million a day, and having to manage all of that. And that's where a lot of this comes from. So where I'm coming from here, what I'm bringing to the table is what I've done for agencies and Fortune 500 companies, entrepreneurs, serial millionaires, billionaire brands, as well as mom and pop shops. Learning these skills can fundamentally change your life because it gives you something that is evergreen, that is scalable, and that allows you to make money. If your business is making money, you're gonna make a lot of it. And the better you get at this, the less and less time it requires, whether you're building your own brand or you have an agency seeing success for other people. Plus, because this is built on the back of transparency and accountability, the trust factor that you have with all of your relationships with your customers or your clients goes up exponentially. And when you raise that trust factor over time, you make more and more money that does not require for you to pay to access it. And that's the big thing. How do we get you off of having to pay money for every dollar that you make? That is how you scale overall success. So if this is something that you're interested in, if you legitimately want to get in on this thing, please stick around for a second, because I'm telling you, the doors are open right now for you to be able to get in on the official Facebook Ads MBA program, something I've worked with Facebook to design for years, and that I've been doing at agency level and at very big brand level. I'm now opening it up to much smaller advertisers. If you are in the $1,000 to $3,000 a day range, this is perfect for you. If you're in the several $100 a day range and you want to invest to the point where you are having $5,000 a day problems, and you see the investment in your future as something of value to you, this is perfect for you. If you want to basically avoid going to college and learn a skill that can pay you 6 figures in the first year and never have to go through the rat race of other things, this is perfect for you. I've had students that were either running agencies or running $1 million a month, or they were trying to build an agency because they had 2 really good clients, or they were drop shippers or brand owners trying to escalate things. I've had entrepreneurs that were trying to ultimately learn how to do this so they can escalate their skill level of earning income off of what they did well. And I've also had a couple people who were like, you know what, I'm sick of my day job. I'm sick of this rat race. I want to be successful. And those folks come in here and they might not have any clients. They might not be spending any money on day one, and that's totally fine. Because you know what else happens? Those agencies, those entrepreneurs, they might be good at this thing. They might be so good at it that they get so busy with all the other things, they need somebody to do all of the work for them. But what happens when you need somebody to do all the work for you? Who are you going to go to? You're going to go to the other folks that went through the same training that you did that are in a different place. My alumni are hiring other alumni into jobs that pay 5 or 6 figures a month or a year. That's what we're really talking about here. How do you make $10,000 a month? How do you get to $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year working for other people as you help them make money? Or you can build your business off of understanding this stuff and then hiring other individuals that speak the same language, that understand your systems and your documentation, that ultimately are an asset because you know day one they're going to be better than 90% of the marketers out there. And that's the honest truth what this gets down to. The Facebook Ads MBA program will teach you to be better than the vast majority of people, because the honest truth is, the vast majority of media buyers, 80-90% of people learned how to do this from somebody that wasn't good. They might have been really solid at email. They might have been really good at Google. They might have been really good brand owners. But the vast majority of people who are super elite at Facebook aren't teaching. They're running brands, or they work for super high level individuals. I'm one of a very few members of the Facebook Disruptor program, the top 100 advertisers that Facebook has, that are actually taking the model of passing on knowledge. Because for me, that's what makes me put my head on the pillow at night and feel good. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm in a place now where I can place priority for my happiness by making other people successful. And remember, if you want to make money, you make other people money. Instead of going after the entrepreneur and the business owner and having me work for them and deal with all of their problems, I want to give people the opportunity of doing that for others. That's what makes me feel good. And I'm one of the very few people in the world that are doing that at this scale, to try to teach things that actually work at scale. That is not a system that you copy and paste. This is a customized one-on-one relationship that we are going to have over the space of 2 months, that leaves you in an alumni group with group classes, because you're no longer going to be alone. You're going to be able to reach out for help. You're going to be able to access this information well after you graduate. If you want to join into a group class 3 months after you graduate, awesome, fine. Love to see you there. As the curriculum updates, because the system is changing, you'll have access to all of that. Maybe you've seen some of the ebooks that I've had. Why not have access to every single one of them? And all of the new ones that are coming in. This is an investment in your future. If you're willing to invest in your future and you see this as being something that's valuable for you, here's the deal. I limit the class to 10 overall people. That's it. The first 5 people get $1,000 off. Also, I have, if you pay in full, you can have another $1,000 off. You could save $2,000 on changing your life by being some of the first people. Now, the honest truth is 3 of those spots are gone. So there's still 2 spots remaining. Class starts September 1st. And if you come in after class starts, you're going to have to sign up for the next one, which might happen this year, might not. I don't know yet. My biggest focus right now is making sure that each customer that comes in to my business is taken care of. Each student is given the best amount of attention for their success. That's why we do weekly one-on-ones. Now they're slated for 45 minutes, but they easily will go an hour and a half or 2 hours sometimes. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about just the course material. I've had folks that hire me and we go through all sorts of stuff. So when we're going through this program, what I try to do is, here's lessons. Great, you've got the lesson. Let's work on the rest of your business right now, because your success means that I can get other students to work with you, or that you are now in a position where you can work for other people. This is a network of elite advertisers, and you will quite legitimately, on the day that you graduate, be better than 80% of the people on the face of the planet at this job. That's the promise that I'm giving you. If that is interesting to you and you want to be a part of this, DM me. Let me know you want in. Again, I only have 10 spots available for class. The first 5 people that sign up save $1,000. If you pay in full, you get an extra $1,000. If you can't pay in full, we can put a payment plan. We can make this something that is easier for you to get into, because I understand not everybody has a lot of money lying around. Let's make this simple for you. Also, if you pay on a credit card or something like that, you can get the points. So you can, do whatever you want to do. You get some extra traveling time, you do whatever. Again, the ideal people that this is fit for is an agency owner that wants to save time and get much better at what they're doing. Another person this is ideal for is a brand owner that is sick and tired of being taken advantage of by agencies, that wants to get good enough at this thing so that they can either take advantage of it themselves, or they can hire somebody ultimately, or train somebody ultimately, to get through this for them and instill systems across their business to save time and money. Lastly, it's perfect for somebody that is ready to take the rest of their life into their own hands and get out of the 9-to-5 stuff and get out of being stressed out. Having the opportunity of having a skill that pays 6 figures and not even having to pay 5 to have access to it is something that is a good investment. You can ROI on your time. And that's really what this comes down to. So if you want to get in, DM me. Let me know. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. I want this to be something that you are excited about and is the best fit for you. And if it isn't a good fit, I'm not an aggressive salesperson. If this isn't right for you, I'm not going to try to sell you on it. I'm going to try to steer you in another direction, because I do have other paths for people. But this is I want success today, and I'm willing to invest in my future, because more time in my life and more money in my pocket is my number one priority right now. If that is you, then DM me and let me know. With that, I see there's some questions. I'll try to get to them here by swiping back through, and I really, really appreciate your time. So going through here, some questions that we had. Let's see. So Casso says, how do you diversify content for launching an event considering all of this? So one of the things here that we were talking about is, if you're launching events or you're doing this one-off space that we're in, that's something that many people are in because they don't have evergreen efforts. What we do is we absolutely test down to concept. We test by concept to see what type of content are we able to produce that best fits. Because the honest truth is, there is no such thing as the perfect ad. There's no such thing as, well, everybody should be doing video, everybody should be doing UGC, everybody should be doing testimonial. It is about what you can do best to talk to your ideal clients, so that you, being honest and effective, can produce content that brings Facebook their ultimate business objective of maintaining attention. Because remember, the average person swipes the height of the Eiffel Tower on a daily basis. There is no turnkey solution. This is about finding what you can do well enough at scale to deliver the business results that you need. So the answer to that is we do concept testing, measuring estimated action rate and also brand lift. What can we do to make Facebook's business objective align with our business objectives in a way that drives us higher and higher quality customers at a lower and lower cost, at greater and greater volume? That is how we get there. And the solution to that looks different basically for everybody, but the testing model is one that is scalable, repeatable, and I personally have been doing for years for dozens of clients, and have built on the back of that. I have well over 100 million in revenue that I've been able to drive just from that type of system. That's the type of thing that I'm trying to bring to you. So Ishak says, is this pre-recorded? No, I'm literally answering these questions right now. I promise. All right, we have another question that says, are Instagram and Facebook similar structures and disciplines? The answer is yes. They're actually not different things at all. There is no difference between Instagram ads and Facebook ads. The idea that you would even treat them differently means that you're trying to solve very small problems at scale. If you're trying to solve very small problems, you're going to be wrapped up doing very menial work. You are not going to move mountains by trying to address every single pebble. That is a waste of your time. Facebook will solve these problems at scale for you. Instead of trying to hack every single little audience, every single little placement, every single little customer, you solve bigger problems and let the system handle it at scale. That's what it's designed to do. Facebook is not email. It's not Google. It's not display. It's not programmatic. We are able to control customer journeys across multiple devices, across multiple platforms, and get that life cycle journey over weeks or months. And Facebook knows what somebody's doing, whether or not they're a customer of yours or somebody that is looking at your competitors. And I've gone into many, many stories inside of this thing. If you have questions, believe me, I could talk endlessly about the stories that I have from my years in the business of, whether we were running New Balance, for instance, where we were stealing customers from Nike by relying on advanced matching before Nike was hip to what we were doing. Or when I brought Persil, the laundry detergent, to market and all the struggles we had going against Tide. Maybe you want to learn how I brought TRX to market and it really disrupted the entire health and wellness space. Maybe you want to know about how I took a meal replacement shake brand from a $20 million business to a $95 million business in 20 months. Like legitimately, less than 2 years. Maybe you want to understand how we've taken SaaS companies and saved them an extra $1 million a month in ad spend, while actually getting them greater revenue in a space where I had 5 million unique visitors and my target goal was a 7-figure monthly profit. Not just revenue, profit. When your business is doing 20 to 30 million a year in profit, that's the type of business you want to get into. So solving those types of problems. And also, if you want to understand how I've taken people from the several $100s a day trying to make one thing work and trying to chase all of that to how do I build a brand on several $1,000s a day by vertically integrating multiple products and doing product testing, doing creative testing, doing landing page testing, customer journey pieces. What is the system that is easily replicatable, that is simple to implement, that relies on nothing of human elements and decision making, but purely on data? How do we install that? I've done it for years. I can tell you about how all of those things go, because if that's the problem that you're having, then these are the types of questions that we can handle inside of our one-on-one classes. These are absolutely the things that I can do for you. Now, we're getting down to the bare brass tacks here. Ash is asking the question, how much is the class? So first off, it's not just a class, it's a full-on program with lifetime access to regularly updating data and group classes. So it is not just a class. This is a course. It's one-on-one education consulting. It is group elements that will allow you to have ongoing learning, because basically once you graduate, you can audit any class you want at any time. You can also share this with your team. So it's much more than just a course. It's much more than just a class. This is buying into a system that you can rely on for the rest of your life to ultimately change things for yourself and teach other people to do it. There's nothing to stop you from, when you sign in, to bringing these systems that we go over, because every week we go over new systems. Every week we're bringing in new elements that you can download and you can share, and I walk you through it. And there's lectures on how you use every one of these documents so you can ultimately have a giant Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheet or document or whatever it is that you need to manage all of it. So you're no longer reliant on 15 different systems and everybody has a different login and everybody's got a different thing. It's completely unmanageable. How do we get this down to something that's, first off, free? Second, takes very little time on a daily basis. And third, means that there's no questions and answers. That we have full transparency and accountability into our system, with our clients, and our team. Full price on that is $9,500. But remember, the first 5 people get $1,000 off. If you pay in full, it's $1,000 off. And if you reserve a seat, we can absolutely put you on a payment plan so that this does not become inaccessible to you. So if that's what you're interested in, please comment on this thing or DM me. Let me know that you want in, because I'm filling my calendar up next week. I am full almost all the way to Monday. So if you want to get in on this thing, I've literally opened up hours of every single day, because it launches September 1st. And I got a couple more spots. And I don't want anybody to not have access to what could potentially change the rest of their life. Because the next 9 weeks could absolutely change the next 9 years of your life. You could literally change what your day-to-day is. And this is the system that I've personally used for myself to go from being unable to pay my cell phone to buying a house and paying for a wedding in cash in Los Angeles, mind you. And that I've been able to do for dozens of other people. And if you want to talk to those people, let me know. I'll gladly give you some of their information. All of these people are like, look, if you have anybody that doesn't necessarily trust it, I'll gladly hop on the phone with them for 5 minutes. Because this is about community. You're no longer alone. Now you are building success together. And that is the unfair advantage. And with that, I don't see any other questions in here. So I'm going to go because, it's almost lunchtime here at the office. And, I want to respect that. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I really, really, really hope that you reach out to me. And if this feels like it's too much or you're scared or you're like, I really want all of this thing, I just can't do it right now, DM me. Let's make it work for you. My number one objective is that you see success. Not that I try to take all of your money right now and ultimately you completely fail. First off, I don't think you're going to fail. You've made it this far through something. You're committed to winning. Second, I'm going to do my damnedest to make it work for you. Whatever we need to do so that you can have access to this success is my number one objective. With that, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you very much. See you on the internet. Bye.